Hello, welcome to the course on geomorphology for Jyoti VIDYAPEETH Women's University. In this lecture, we will discuss the concept of catastrophism. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the concept of uniformitarianism, and in this lecture, we will discuss about the concept of catastrophism. Okay, so catastrophism is a doctrine that says that certain vast geological changes in the Earth's history were created by catastrophes rather than gradual evolutionary processes. That means catastrophism is the theory that says that the Earth has largely been shaped by sudden, short lived, violent events, possibly worldwide in scope. Catastrophism is the theory that says that the earth has largely been shaped by sudden and violent phenomena. This is in contrast to uniformitarianism, which is also sometimes referred to as gradualism, in which slow incremental changes such as erosion created all the earth's geological features. Uh, that is the basic definition of this concept. So, catastrophism is a term. It was invented by William Whewell in 1832, and it's a school of thought that stands in antithesis, that is opposed to the gradualism or opposed to the uniformitarianism. Its proponents claim that the rates of geological and biological processes have in the past differed significantly from the current rates, on occasions suddenly and violently assuming magnitudes not seen today, and in doing so causing catastrophes. So, catastrophism is a doctrine that explains the differences in fossil forms encountered in successive stratigraphic levels as being the product of repeated cataclysmic occurrences and repeated new creations. This doctrine generally is associated with the great French naturalist Baron Georges Cuvier, 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 uh, who gave this concept, who tried to explain this concept first of all. Okay, so catastrophism is a theory that was developed by Georges Cuvier based on paleontological evidence in the Paris Basin. Cuvier was there when he observed something peculiar about the fossil record. Instead of finding a continuous succession of fossils, Cuvier noticed several gaps where all evidence of life would disappear and then abruptly reappear again after a notable amount of time. Cuvier recognized these gaps in the fossil succession as mass extinction events. This led Cuvier to develop a theory called catastrophism. Catastrophism states that natural history has been punctuated by catastrophic events that altered the way life developed and rocks were deposited. That is the basic crux of the concept of catastrophism. So, catastrophism is a doctrine that explains the differences in fossil forms encountered in successive stratigraphic levels. So, it was developed by Georges Cuvier, Baron Georges Cuvier. Okay, and then when we try to explain this concept, like the proponents of uniformitarianism held that Present was the key to the past, and all geological processes such as erosion throughout the past were like those that can be observed now. Since the early disputes, a more inclusive and integrated view of geologic events has developed, in which the scientific consensus accepts that there were some catastrophic events in the geologic past, but these were explicable as extreme examples of natural processes which can occur. Proponents of catastrophism proposed that the geological epochs had ended with violent and sudden natural catastrophes such as great floods and the rapid formation of major mountain chains. Plants and animals living in the parts of the world where such events occurred were made extinct, being replaced abruptly by the new forms whose fossils defined the geological strata. Some catastrophists attempted to relate at least one such change to the biblical account of Noah's flood. So the concept was popularized in 19th century by Georges Cuvier, who proposed that new life forms had moved in from other areas after local floods and avoided religious or metaphysical speculation in his scientific writings. So the concept of catastrophism is opposed to the concept of uniformitarianism. In the case of catastrophism, as applied to geology or paleontology, there can be little doubt that in the eyes of the scientific establishment, for a century or more, it has seemed defunct as any theory could be. Now, however, catastrophism is making a very real contribution to the geology and evolutionary theory. Resurrection would seem to have taken place in this concept. Okay. So basically, the concept of catastrophism believes that the Earth's processes, the landforms on the Earth's surface, they were developed suddenly by sudden changes. For example, by violent earthquakes or eruptions and violent changes on the Earth's surface, which resulted into the formation of different land masses, Earth's surface, different features on the Earth's surface, rivers, and other forms. That is the basic crux of catastrophism, that it believed in the sudden evolution of things, as opposed to the concept of uniformitarianism, which believed that it took several years for the formation of different landforms. So it was a slow process. But catastrophism believes that it was a fast process which occurred due to the sudden occurrence of different events like earthquakes, volcanoes, and other changes, which resulted into the formation of different landforms on the Earth's surface. And there was not much time in the formation of these landforms. It did not take much time for the landforms to occur. But this theory has been um, very susceptible. It has been exposed to different criticisms because several evidences do not support this theory. For example, the evolution of different mountain chains, and people believe that it took a lot of years for different mountain chains, for example, Himalayas, Andes, Rockies, to form. And the plate tectonics moment, the plate tectonics theory suggests that these mountain chains were formed due to the plate movements, which resulted over millions of years ago, and the process is still continuing. That's why the height of some of the mountains of the world is increasing. So, some theories, this theory refutes the concept of catastrophism, and some theories refute the certain origin and evolution of different landforms. And because these landforms, they take time, or they have taken time for their formation, and which does not occur overnight, or which does not occur in very short duration. So that's why the concept of catastrophism was opposed by many geographers and many geologists, because they believe it takes millions of years to form the landforms, or it has taken millions of years for the landforms to form on the Earth's surface. Okay.